All right. Hello. I hope everyone is doing well. So I saw one question for today's Q&A, and I'm just going to go ahead and kind of talk through my ideas, suggestions. We'll just see how it goes. I'm just going to kind of talk through it. And hopefully some of you will find some of it helpful. And if nothing else, it'll give you some things to think about. So the question was all about how to get your spouse on board with tracking your finances. So if they're not seeing the value in it, or they're not really into it, or they're just not feeling it, what are some things that you can do to get your spouse on board tracking your finances? So I'm going to approach this question from a few different angles. So we'll hopefully I'll hit some different ideas, suggestions, and things like that. Have some notes here, so I'm looking off to the side. So for tracking, for now, if it was me, I would probably just take charge of tracking to get started so that somebody was doing it. You can maybe gather his receipts. If you all have joint accounts, maybe you can log in and see charges, payments, and things like that. So you can just pull them out and enter them in. If he's paying for things with cash, I would just say, keep your receipts and hand them to me. And I would just kind of start by doing the tracking myself, kind of take that initiative and just do it. If you're asking this question, my assumption is you already see the value in tracking, or at least want to try it and see how it goes. And so that's what I would do. I would just start there. I wouldn't try to get him on board before I started. This is also partially my personality. If something was important to me, I would just go for it. The second thing that I would do is once you've gone through the tracking module, you'll be able to hopefully have some good points that you might be able to share about why tracking is valuable and how important it is, and why, like, how you think it could benefit you. So that's kind of the next thing that I would go with. I would be thinking about all the benefits of tracking. I'd be like keeping a little list over on the side. So I'm tracking, I'm doing it on my own. And then I'm also like keeping on the side, like, here are some reasons why I think this is important. Here are some things I'm learning while I'm tracking. Here are some things that I'm kind of figuring out as I go. And these are like some points in my argument. Maybe argument is too strong of a word, but that's kind of how my brain works. I'm thinking like, I'm going to build up my case, and not to like have a fight. That is absolutely not where I'm coming from, but to just like present like, hey, here's the things I've thought about. Here's what's working. Here's what I'm learning. And here's the things that I've learned in this course that I'm taking. And here's why I think it's important. The next thing I would do is I would sit down and have a conversation and maybe set some financial goals together. So I'd look for short-term goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals financially. What are some things that you guys want to accomplish? What are some things that you would like to have or be able to do? Is there a trip that you've always really wanted to take? Is there, like, does somebody need a new car? Is there, like, do you need new furniture? Are you really hoping to have a certain amount of money in a savings account or invested in retirement? Like, just kind of talk things through, like, where are we at? What do we want to do? What is important to us long term? And this doesn't even have to be about tracking your expenses. This doesn't even have to be about any of that. Just start having financial conversations with your partner. I think it's super important. And just kind of see, are we on the same page? Do we both feel the same way about things? What are some things we can both decide we want to work on together? So I think when my husband and I, there was a long time we didn't have a lot of financial conversations. We were just like rolling with it. And then we started to like have some goals. Like, we bought a house and we needed to renovate it. And we were like, we better have a real conversation about how much this is going to cost, how comfortable we are investing this money, what it's going to look like in the future. And that started to kind of snowball for us a little bit into some other financial conversations. But it really wasn't until we actually there was a kind of a course presentation kind of a thing happening that was all different people sharing about their financial investments, ways that they had made money, just all different kinds of things. It sounds a little sketchy how I'm explaining it, but it was just really informative. It was just like saying, hey, if this is where you want to be, these are some ways that you can get there. And you really need to know where you want to be. So that you know what you need to do to get to that end goal. And we realized we had never really had a conversation about where we want to be. Yes, we were saving for retirement. Yes, we had money put away for emergencies. We didn't have credit card debt. We were paying everything off monthly, but we hadn't really had a conversation about like, what are our plans? What are we saving money for? What do we want our retirement to look like? So we started having those regular conversations after that kind of conference it was a virtual thing during the pandemic. And so it's just really interesting to start talking about it. Once we started talking about it, that led to us doing some more concrete things is I guess is how I'll describe it. We started setting up a budget. We started tracking our expenses. We started setting some goals. Hey, let's work backwards. Like, what do we want to be doing in retirement? Okay, how much money a month are we going to need to get there? What are like the pipe dreams? Like, what is like the ultimate goal for retirement? Okay, what would also be not so bad that isn't so like pie in the sky? Like, we kind of set these different levels of goals. And those conversations many years ago have really kind of gotten us to where we are today. And when things have come up, loss of job, choosing to leave jobs, salary changes, like all kinds of stuff have happened. Because we've been having these conversations for the last several years, it has really been easy for us to be like, okay, what do we got to do now? Like, how are we going to change things? What are we going to do? What's our budget going to look like now? Because we are really comfortable talking about it. So if you're just getting started with tracking, creating budgets, and all of those types of things as a couple, and one of you is like, let's do it. And the other one is like, I don't really know if I see the value. This feels like a pain. All the things that I thought too at first. I was like, wow, this takes forever. But once you do it, you realize, okay, it actually doesn't take forever. I get faster at it the more I do it. Okay, wait, I'm starting to see these benefits. Then you start to really be able to roll with it. And so I would kind of backtracking here. I'm going to circle back. So I would say, start having these conversations, start engaging in just like really casual conversation about your finances. Hey, what do you picture our retirement looking like? Hey, what do you like? We haven't been on a big vacation ever. Like, where would you want to go? How much money would we need to save for something like that? What are some things that you really value? What are some things that you would really like us to be doing in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? And I would really start to just have those conversations so that they become very comfortable and they kind of become second nature. And they're just another element of your communication. You're just talking about your finances and you're real comfortable and casual with it. Once you have those goals set and you've started talking about it, then you can start talking about the path to getting there. And you'll realize, okay, tracking, creating a budget, that's going to help keep us on the path. Sometimes it's hard to start a process when we don't really understand or we can't really wrap our mind around the end game. And that was true for me. So I was like, okay, well, we're going to track our spending, but why? I am super annoying, I know, to my husband because I'm like, why would we do that? What is that really worth my time? Why are you doing that? Why do you do that thing that takes so much time? Like, I want to know the value of something before I do it. And so this is a way for you to have those conversations and really start getting buy-in from both of you, really. You're trying to help encourage yourself as well, getting buy-in to those elements and the steps in the process to kind of get you to those goals. Uh, the other thing I will say, and I do not want anyone to ever think that I'm like inserting myself into their relationship because everybody's relationship is different. Everybody has a different dynamic. Everybody has different things they value, different history, life experiences with everything. But in the terms of money, right? We all grew up really differently when it comes to money and how much we had and how it was spent and how it was saved and all of that. So I don't ever want anyone to get the impression that I'm like injecting myself into your relationship. But what works for us is to talk about it together, to make plans for the future together. And then we can both get on board with what it's going to take to get us where we want to be. That has really been helpful for us. So, that is what I would suggest if you're thinking that it's not going to work for me. Like, he grew up in a household that just never talked about money. It was very thing. Then you know what? Then maybe you're just in charge of your finances for your family. And that's kind of the thing you take and you say, you know what? Once a month, I'll kind of let you know where we're at. I'll let you know what we're working on. And if you ever want to, kind of have a conversation about it or have a little budget meeting with me, I would love to have you. But this is really important to me. So I'm going to kind of like take charge of this. I also think that's okay, right? There are certain things that some of us are really good at and certain things that some of us aren't. I used to think I was terrible with money. I've told my personal story many times. If you haven't heard it yet, it's no secret. I had all this debt. I thought I was terrible with money. I had really worked hard to get myself to a place where I was getting everything paid off and all. I was in a much better place when I met my husband because I had kind of like turned the corner and figured it all out. And I was, improving, right? But I had told myself the story that I wasn't good with money. So I just let him handle everything. I was like, yep, my check's going to get direct deposited. You tell me what to do, right? Because I just had this story in my mind that I was terrible with money. And after a few years, I was like, wait a minute, I can figure this out. I can learn about this. I can also manage money. And now it's very much 50-50 in our house. That doesn't maybe work for everybody. So it's hard because I don't want to tell you also, this is very Female Finance Collective. We are not here to tell you exactly what you have to do, exactly where to put your money, how to save it, how to spend it. That is not our thing, right? We're not here to tell you that. We're here to give you tools and tips and suggestions and ideas to get you on a path so that you have the knowledge it takes to kind of figure things out for yourself. So this is like a super long answer that is hopefully just giving you some ideas, suggestions, things that might just kind of spark some other ideas that'll work better for you in your relationships, your friendships, partnerships, even if you have like a parent who really struggles financially, maybe these are kinds of things you can kind of do together. Start having conversations with them about finances. And if you have got some older kids, maybe it's time to kind of start talking with the kids about these are their I remember like if you've got kids who play sports and there's like a big expense for that in high school when kids start making money and having jobs and they've got all those like high school expenses, you can kind of talk to them about that and have conversations. What's your goal? What do you want to use your money for? How do you want to spend it? How do you want to save it? Um, just that's really what I want you to start thinking about is having conversations and being open with money and talks and having goals and then figuring out what the plan is to get there to ultimately achieve that goal. And if by having this conversation together, you can just kind of get that ball rolling just a little bit. And then hopefully, if you want it to be a partnership, then you can kind of get yourselves there together. I hope I know things that I said make sense, but I do feel like I veered from my notes. They're up on the screen. I did veer from my notes, so it probably wasn't as concise of an answer as it could have been, and I probably went a little bit overboard, all over the place, because that's kind of what I do when I don't have like a outline in front of me. But hopefully, just some of the tips were helpful and like sparked some ideas and can kind of get you thinking about how to work with a partner when it comes to money. And again, if you have to do it yourself, you can do it. You totally can. If you don't have a partner and you're single and you're like figuring this out, you can do that, right? And then when you find a partner, if that's what you're looking for, then you'll kind of have a plan. You'll be like, hey, look at me. I already know how to do all this. This is all really important to me. So do you want to get on board with me and my financial plan? I mean, I think that's really empowering for you to know how to do it yourself and then share and encourage and try to become a team when it comes to finances. Um, all right. That was plenty of rambling. I hope everyone has a really lovely weekend and we will check in again soon. Again, any questions, even if there's not a Q&A post up, just drop a question. You can make a post about it and we'll comment on it, let you know we saw it. Or you can comment on any of our posts with a question and we will try to share some information with you. And you are welcome. Thanks, Shelby, for being here. I will talk to everybody soon.